Hi, I'm James Naylor Green, Professor Emeritus of Brazilian History and Culture at Brown University and the National Co-Coordinator of the U.S. Network for Democracy in Brazil. This program is supported by the Washington, Brazil office. This is Brazil Unfiltered. Today we're going to talk about BRICS that involve the countries of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and more recently a set of new countries, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, that have joined this international association. And to talk about this topic, our guest today is Eduardo Gomes. Eduardo Gomes is a professor of political science at the Fluminense Federal University in Niterói, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He holds a PhD in political science from the University of Chicago with a dissertation on a failed project of turning Brazil into an exporter of manufactured products before the neoliberal reforms. He has conducted research on business politics, small business, corporate social responsibility, and comparative political economy of development. Currently, he is working on state capacities of emerging countries, focusing on advising councils and new arenas of public-private negotiations of the BRICS, as well as on tripartisan agreements in Latin America. Eduardo, welcome to Brazil Unfiltered.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Jim. I'm ready.
Let's go then. So let's start with giving our listeners a bit of background about what BRICS was, how it came together.
Okay, that's fine. The five founding countries were developed in 2009, but before that, there was various unfoldings that brought, to begin with, a group of Russia, India, and China, developing countries that were grew from the financial crisis of 2008. Shortly after various developments of the various political managers, there was this idea that Brazil should join the BRICS. The three first countries, Russia, India, and China, should join the BRICS. So the beginning of BRICS was made of four countries, and later on, South Africa was also included in the group. And those are practically the founding BRICS. So it's an outcome of the 2008 financial crisis of these developing countries.
So I'm a little confused, or people are confused, because I understand BRICS also having been a title, a terminology used to describe these five countries as emerging countries, developed by Goldman Sachs to identify countries that were emerging in the economy and therefore had a different role than the developed countries, let's say, between most of the undeveloped countries using this terminology and the developed. So how has it changed? Or can we understand BRICS along the lines of this terminology presented by Goldman Sachs? Or is it something else? What are its goals? What does it intend to do?
Okay, the BRICS was the idea of BRIC. In fact, BRIC without an S was developed by an economist, Jim O'Neill. But later on, an idea of putting together very important and interesting large developing countries with a large economy, large population, and those are the first five ones. So that's the idea, actually, of the BRICS. So Jim O'Neill had a role, but by and large, the countries themselves made different steps since the beginning. So the first one, the founding the founding arrangement of the BRICS was in 2009 in the Russian city of Ekaterinburg. and in Europe. So it was just the Brazilian BRIC was an invitation of the other three ones to join the BRICS to make a new group of emerging countries with those aspects, economic, population, I mean, large countries. That's how they began, and since then we had we began to have uh, yearly meetings in each year throughout today. So a meeting was held since 2009 each year.
So Trump recently threatened heavy tariffs on the BRIC countries. What has been the US behavior towards this bloc before and now with Trump?
Okay, so very in February, Trump not only uh, said that they would like to throw tariffs of 100% for the BRICS countries, the merchandise on all the BRICS countries. And also he concluded in February 13th that BRICS were dead. That's clearly his sentence. BRICS is dead, was dead. But it was not the case. BRICS it's established its yearly meetings on the BRICS. They provided the meeting which will take place July next July on the 6th and 7th here in Rio de Janeiro. So BRICS was not that at all, seen like Trump thought the BRICS could obey his idea that they were dead.
But why is Trump so threatened by BRICS? Why is he making these claims that it's a dangerous institution that he needs to stop? I think, as I understand it, it was around the possibility of the BRICS offering an alternative currency to the dollar, which is the international exchange currency, basically. Do you know why, or do you understand why Trump is so threatened by BRICS?
That's a very clear case. I mean, he was also threatened by the what we call de-dollarization of the business of the BRICS with with themselves, with other countries, and so on and so forth. So he was really threatened, and there has been now new waves of trade of the BRICS, de-dollarization of trade in part, and he had to realize that was something that he would be he would live with this new trend of the trade wars worldwide.
So is it a concern that there will be a new trade bloc that will basically trade among the same countries without involving the United States, which is what is threatening Trump?
Well, so far those countries have some may have some trade with the U.S., but and these are those countries, these trades, it is not dollar dollar based on the dollar, but there is this trend in various countries in various directions now relying on the dollar. I mean, relying on this dollarization.
So what is the relationship between Brazil and China in this new situation with Trump? Trump is putting up tariffs, and it seems as if Brazil is looking more to sell more of their soy and their other agricultural goods to China, as opposed to selling them to the United States or to China is receiving more goods from Brazil than potentially from the United States. What's going on there between the two countries?
Okay. Uh, the easy way of understanding this was just looking at the last visit of the Brazilian president Lula to China. I mean, he went to China a couple of weeks ago to China after he had been to Russia, but immediately after he spent a few days in China, and it was very successful meeting with 100 or something entrepreneurs, Brazilian entrepreneurs visiting China. So new avenues were open, and also especially some manufacturing industry, 2 new auto industries will be established in Brazil. Brazil is also has already received a manufacturing industry of electric cars. It's the very first time in Brazil we have electric cars. So it has been a very successful meeting with China. And actually, Lula understood the relation of Brazil with China as is a relationship which should not be broken at any cost from this time on. So that's a very important step that China and Brazil arranged.
So what are China's main economic interests in Brazil?
Okay. Actually, it was very recent that China invested, proclaimed, arranged the idea of having heavy investment in Brazil. This came out of Brazil had some types of Chinese investments, especially in the area of energy, but today it spread out many fields of industry. As I told you, manufacturing, car industry, and other ones. But basically, Brazil has not joined the silk industry. I don't know why. I think no one knows. But after this visit, China and Brazil built in various agreements in the infrastructure, and it was one of them is very important because it's a railroad from the east to the west in Brazil, reaching the Peruvian harbor recently established in Peru. So it will be 5,000 kilometers and so on and so forth from the east side of Brazil to the west side of Latin America. But it's a very important. Brazil has not many railroads, but this will be very important in the country, and will also unfolds in many areas of the country. So this is very important.
So, Brazil for 500 years has had an economic model of export, primarily of agricultural goods. There was a period in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s when manufacturing was prioritized, and there was a significant export of Brazilian manufactured products. But it seems like what you're describing is Brazil returning to the model of depending on agricultural and livestock exports to be the backbone of the economy. Does this not merely reinforce the subservient role that Brazil has with the rest of the world's economy?
Yeah, I think you're talking about agribusiness in Brazil.
Right.
I mean, recent agribusiness, and even if it's a it reminds us of the previous agro-exporting economy, but it's very efficient and modern economy in the countryside. So Brazil is really almost turning back to the agriculture, but it's not the same old export agriculture in sector. So Brazil is a major exporter of soybeans, also meat, and other with very modern agribusiness. So but we are looking for also reenactment the manufacturing industry in the country as well.
The United States has traditionally been very close to Brazil in terms of trade and economic agreements over the years. The increased trade with China is building that connection between the two countries. What do you think is going to be the impact on Brazil's relations with the United States? Will they lose the closeness that they had, or will there be a continuation of the relations between the two countries?
I think it will diminish the importance of the US for the Brazilian economy. I think Brazil, after these two visits, China and Russia, in fact, Russia and China, Brazil expanded very much or enlarged very much its economy and attracting many businessmen from both countries, China and Brazil, and we expect a very new standard in the Brazilian economy to that point.
So you're predicting that the relations, economic relations, will be stronger with Russia and China and the other countries, and much less connected to the United States over the next period. So what about the visit of Lula to Russia?
The visit to Russia from Lula was basically an encounter of trying to renew a very small trade, which is very, very small. It's like $12 million, whereas to China is about 19 billion. So just China.
It's a much less amount of money that's being traded with Russia. So the question I really have about BRICS is that is it an economic agreement or is it a political agreement? Is it designed to just improve the trade between countries, or is there another larger goal in mind with BRICS?
It's both. Not only these ones, but other ones as well. Culture is also an important aspect of the BRICS, of the identity of the BRICS countries, and other issues as well. So it's political, it's economic, it's social, healthcare, those parts of common interest of the BRICS countries in various aspects. I mean, neither only political or economic, but many other ones. These and other ones.
So Brazil went through a dictatorship from 1964 to 1985. It's been 40 years or more since the end of the dictatorship, and the country is still, I think, strengthening its democracy. What will be the effects on Brazilian democracy, the close alignment that Brazil is making with China, with Russia, which are not democratic countries, or even places like India, which have an authoritarian leadership, and not to speak of the new countries that are coming to join the BRICS. How do we understand Brazil's commitment to democracy and its desire to build alliances with countries which are not at all democratic?
Yes, there has been criticism of Brazil's relationships with the various of these countries, BRICS countries. But I think the only price is to insist in democracy in Brazil, regardless of the other countries. So, for instance, today Brazil and India are negotiating defense industries, airplanes. There's and other ones with India. So we also need an entrepreneurial basis that in Brazil can foresee and rely on our democratic institutions. So, and we have had businessmen involved with democracy, and now businessmen are just economic elites. They don't care about how democracy is sustaining itself or not.
So if the people who are involved in trading between Brazil and the United and China, for example, are much more concerned about profit and getting the goods out there, etc., what are the guarantees then that um, the relationship what is the way that Brazil will be looking to these countries, whether it's the Lula government or a subsequent government, which don't have the same democratic values that Brazil has? How does one explain this relationship with countries that doesn't have the kind of same shared views about what a country as democracy should be?
That's a very important question and challenging question. So we have supposedly we have gone out of the authoritarian dictatorship of Brazil, but I'm sure that the democratic institutions are not there easily shared by the Brazilian people. There hasn't been real after the dictatorship. There hasn't been an institutional building of democratic values in Brazil. There hasn't enrooted democratic values in Brazil.
So do you think this is the way for Brazil to go, is to build a closer and build BRICS as the main international association of countries to encourage Brazil's development? You think this is the right way to go?
I think so. I think that it has proven to be the way to go. I mean, as far as what we are seeing today is like an economic apparatus, very, very interesting for the Brazilians, for Brazil.
Do you have any other comments about BRICS and what you think are important to share with our listeners about this phenomenon, how it's gone, what it's all about?
Yes, it began. The BRICS began with five large countries, five emergent countries, and today it's we are seeing a very enlarged BRICS with many countries trying to be together, trying to join the BRICS. Some already have. The BRICS now has permanent members, and various other ones are trying to join the BRICS as well. So it's approximately, I would say, 30 countries trying to join the BRICS, and we're going to see this in the next meeting, month and a half, next month and a half.
So some analysts have argued that because when BRICS was small and there were only 4 countries and then South Africa 5 countries, Brazil had a strong role, a strong presence. It was the only truly democratic country in a lot of ways. I think you could say India and South Africa are semi-democratic. Is not the growth of BRICS from now 10 countries officially in the BRICS and potentially another 10 more, so it might be a block of 30, will that diminish the power and the importance and the influence of Brazil within the organization or not? What do you think about that?
No, it will not diminish the importance of anyone, I think. Egypt became a full member of the BRICS countries. The BRICS also, we haven't talked about this, also institutionalized a development bank in Brazil since 2014. And it has enlarged the resources for the various countries. We don't have to be part of the BRICS to be part of the new development bank.
And former President Dilma Rousseff is the president of the Development Bank, correct?
Yes, it's she was invited to be. I mean, she's covering the Russian time of the BRICS countries because Putin invited her to replace the Russian employee, whatever.
And so she has been given an additional term, I believe. I think her term has
Yeah,
been.
that's right.
She will have a continued influence on this. So, what would be your final message to the listener of Brazil Unfiltered about the BRICS and what it's all about? And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it good for Brazil? Is it bad for Brazil? Is it good for the United States? Bad for the United States? What is your assessment?
It's very good, very, very good uh, arrangement that the BRICS countries made. Very, very good. I mean, and you're going to see more of this with the meeting. Few weeks from today will take place here in Rio de Janeiro, early July. So this is a traditional meeting of the BRICS countries, which are held by the heads of state. They all come to a place, a city. It's and we're going to see some ones we don't get all of them, but many of them will be here in Rio de Janeiro, and there will be lots of side events, include ones by that I would also be part of.
Actually, I've been invited to come to Rio for the side events as well. So we'll probably see each other in Rio
Oh,
on this
that's
time
great.
period. Yeah,
That's
that'll be great.
great, 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 great.
So listen, Eduardo, I want to thank you so much for being with us today on Brazil Unfiltered. It was really great to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Jim. It was nice seeing you and talk to our friends in the US.
So, to the listeners, I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast, please leave us with a 5-star review. It helps other people find the program. Have a great week. Until next time, até a próxima.